Hey everyone, welcome to the Gettysburg battlefield. Now I've done a video here before, but today is a special day. It's July 3rd, 2020, and 157 years ago today, the Battle of Gettysburg ended. And it ended with a dramatic, massive charge of the Confederate Army, known as Pickett's Charge. And we're actually standing here right at the fields of Pickett's Charge. The sign behind me is actually depicting where General Robert E. Lee, who would have been on Seminary Ridge back here. There's actually, you can see the Virginia Monument, which marks the approximate spot he would have been at. But this sign depicts Lee coming out to meet his shattered troops as they come back across the fields. So, we call it Pickett's Charge because that's just the name it took on. But it's not just George Pickett's men that are involved in this. You also have men from Johnston Pettigrew and Isaac Ridgway Trimble. And Trimble, more famous for fighting with Jackson in the Valley and tearing up railroads. That was Trimble's claim to fame prior to the Battle of Gettysburg. But anyway, I thought it'd be pretty cool to do Pickett's Charge today. This is it's about 15,000 men approximately. They're going to charge across a little more than around a mile of open field under heavy artillery fire from the Round Tops, Culp's Hill, the ridge line known as Cemetery Ridge. They're going to come under heavy artillery fire. And as they get closer, they'll come under infantry fire. There's not going to be many of them that make it. So some of this walk will be in silence and just let you enjoy. But this is Pickett's Charge, 157 years ago today. So we'll just go like this. There's a nice path here at Gettysburg. And the Confederates, as they march out, it's actually preceded, the charge is preceded by a cannonade of 150 cannons. Confederate artillery firing all over the field, shooting, trying to soften up the Union defenses on Cemetery Ridge. The days prior, Lee has driven, on July 1st, he's driven the Army of the Potomac back to this position. On July 2nd, he's going to hit both flanks. And on July 3rd, he decides that he needs to attack the center. He feels that Meade's army will be weak there, and he can break through the middle of the Union army and try to win a decisive battle in the north. The reason he wants to do that is because the Confederates believe that by winning a decisive battle, several different things could happen. One, it's going to bring the North to its knees. People are going to get tired of losing battles, especially big battles. Now you have a Confederate victory in the North. That's going to force the election the following year to kick the Republicans out and have a new president that's going to want peace. There's a possibility of foreign intervention. They may not necessarily in the form of troops, but coming in and mediating, just all kinds of things. So Lee is desperate to win this battle. The first day goes well for the Confederates. The second day, not so much. They gain some ground, but they really lose a lot of manpower for very little gain. So July 3rd, we're doing Pickett's Charge right now, as it's called, or some will call it the Pickett Pettigrew Trimble Charge. But as Confederates come out through here, they're going to run into obstacles. One of the first obstacles, as you can see, there's a fence there. So that fence is an obstacle. We're walking right now. It's very calm. It's a little windy, but not much activity. So in 1863, July 3rd, they're under immense artillery fire right now. Now the neat thing is you have about 75 Union cannons that are firing. One of the things that's being done is a lot of those cannons got silenced before the infantry attack. Not due to Confederate fire, but due to Union brainwork. They decided we're not going to return fire. We're just going to save our ammunition. We know an attack's coming. We'll save it for that. So they don't return fire, which actually makes the Confederates think they've driven these cannons off. In fact, they haven't. They've just silenced the cannons to preserve artillery. So here's our first obstacle. We got to cross this fence. Obviously, Gettysburg National Park has it open, but if you look there, it's closed. The men would have had to go across this, and as they go across it, you know, they have to stop. It's not, you can't just walk through it. And eventually, a lot of it will get knocked down, and troops will pour through. But like I said, you've got about 15,000 men all the way out here and all the way over here. And they're marching. We're probably, I don't know, maybe in the middle of about Pickett's division. His division numbers around 6,000 men, which the casualties for the Confederates during this attack is going to be around 6,000. Union troops will lose about 1,500. And this will be a major defeat for the Confederacy. So, huge turning point in the American Civil War. Huge. Not only do you have the most victorious Confederate army, most successful, with the most successful leader, get defeated here in Pennsylvania, but the next day, Vicksburg in Mississippi is going to surrender. And while that's not the final nail in the coffin for the Confederacy, after this, the Confederacy is only going to last roughly 2 more years. And they will be fighting a complete defensive battle. Very little offensive action for the Confederate armies after the battles of Gettysburg and the fall of Vicksburg. As you can see, I mean, we're marching again, and we would have troops to our right, but also on our right, you can see the hills there. There's going to be cannon fire coming there. We have troops to our left. Some of these troops actually don't even advance all the way. They're going to have cannon fire from over here, cannon fire in front of us. We haven't even gotten to where the infantry can fire at us yet. And on top of it, we passed one obstacle. Here comes another one. And on top of that, the Confederates are going to be trying to make some oblique movements to kind of shield their troops from getting shot up. It's not exactly going to work. As we get farther up, I'll show you where they're going to get infiltrated fire on them, not only from cannons but from infantry. So I walked this from Cemetery Ridge to Seminary Ridge before doing this video. I'm a little tired already. It's hot. It's 90 some degrees, but I'm in shorts and a t-shirt and a hat. 1863, these men, no matter which side they were on, all these men are in wool jackets and wool pants, full uniform. Not only is it hot, when you're fighting a battle and you've got guns, you've got smoke, you got cannons going, you're not drinking water, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, I gotta get to where I'm going, which you kind of see the 2 people there with the umbrellas, and that's the corpse of trees there. That was the focal point of this charge. Lee wanted everyone to focus there on those trees. To the left, that is another tree. That is called the Emblem. That's where Confederate troops will cross. There won't be many. And there's actually a Confederate monument up here. Shows kind of where they stopped. So here's our second obstacle, another fence. We've got to go across that. So now we're under even more intense fire. Close range artillery. And the closer we get, the worse things are going to get. Definitely not going to be a fun time if you're a Confederate soldier. You're marching literally into the mouth of death. So they're going to actually be marching along toward that farm there. They're going to cut back this way. This is where they're making movements, attempting to kind of deceive the Union troops as to where exactly they're going. That's not going to work. Interesting note, I think, about Gettysburg. It kind of gets lost mean, he gets talked about, but he gets lost a bit. And this Winfield Scott Hancock. I think Hancock, honestly, this battle, there's many people that play a huge role in this battle. But Hancock plays a role all 3 days. July 1st, he gets here after General Reynolds is killed. He's dispatched by me. He gets here. He's instrumental in setting up that Union line that we're approaching. Day 2, Sickles moves out. You can see Little Round Top and Big Round Top. The really big hill is Big Round Top. One's kind of bare and the front's little. So we're taking cannon fire from there right now. But anyway, Sickles will move out on day 2, and Hancock will be moving troops all over the place and stopping attacks in different spots. Then on day 3, the charge of Pickett, and Trimble. Guess who's in command of the center? Winfield Scott Hancock. Dude literally was everywhere on this battlefield and was involved in so many other major events. So right now, we're approaching the Emmitsburg Road. It's kind of a sunken road. As you can see, there's fences there. Today we have to contend with traffic, which may hold us up, much like the fences would have to the Confederates. So, think about it, we're a lot closer to the Union lines than we were as we're approaching. You know, today we see cars and silent sentinels of the cannons and everything and the monuments. And an important thing to think about the monuments here at Gettysburg and at the other battlefields, they're not just monuments thrown up in random places. A lot of these monuments mark the position of units in this battle. So, and that's on both sides, Union and Confederate. They'll mark positions of where certain troops were during the battle. So, as we approach the road here, got to be cautious. Don't want to get run over, that would suck. You can see there's some people, other people that are, looks like they're probably on a guided tour. I'm imagining there will probably be more people here later doing this walk. So here we are, we're approaching, this is the Emmitsburg Road. I actually came up through Emmitsburg today in order to just kind of follow the Union line. There's a couple things I hadn't seen before I want to see. So what we're going to do, we're going to let them do their tour. We're just going to walk in silence by them. But if you can look back, we've already come pretty far. So now we're gonna cross the Emmitsburg Road. Now the Confederates, when they had to cross this, they've got to cross the fencing. We're gonna wait for a motorcycle, but they've got to cross the fencing. Oh, there's another car coming. So imagine being the Confederate Army, and you're coming across here, fire. Now you're gonna reach infantry fire. Silently for me.
Again, I think the story tells you, again, part of the motivation that these guys
have. Alright, so we've crossed the Emmitsburg Road. We're now approaching what is known as the angle. So you can see, there's the trees, that's our focal point. If we're the Confederate Army and we're charging, that's our focal point. Now if you're the Union Army, there's a low fence over here. We're now opening up. We're opening infantry fire now. The Confederates are holding their fire until they get up here. But the Union infantry is now opening its artillery fire. And here's the thing, as troops are coming this way, right where that gentleman is, you've got other troops coming out from Maine, Vermont, Minnesota. All these places, they're going to be actually flanked. The Confederates are going to be flanked on either side of their lines. And they're going to have fire. I mean, that's terrible if you're in an attack, because now the Yankees are basically just wrapping around them. But the Confederates will push forward, and they will continue all the way up here. And you can see the monuments. Some of these monuments represent actions on day 2, because there was a breakthrough on day 2 about the same area. The difference is wasn't as many troops. It wasn't the only attack on that day either. This was not the only attack on July 3rd. This was a later attack. The first attack actually did take place at Coles Hill, trying to gain a foothold there, but it did not work. Union troops were too entrenched. It was a sharp fight, but a short one. So we're approaching what's known as the Confederate high water mark here shortly. And all that means is that's where the Confederates were stopped and turned back. So you're going to have probably, I don't know, 300 men, maybe a tad more, get across this fence here, or stone wall. You see out there's Pennsylvania monument to the north. There's our corpse of trees. Here's the eagle that we are approaching.
We parked in the car down there. So we're just gonna walk back to the car. Take them home.
So we will actually cross right here. If you look, this is the California Regiment, 73rd Pennsylvania, or 71st, I'm sorry. You can see the artillery here. Now, Confederates are going to get across this wall, and they're going to be under canister fire, which basically makes the cannon a big shotgun. So as we come up, you can see there's a Confederate marker here. There's one over there too. There's a North Carolina monument. That would actually probably be the high water mark. Depends on who you ask. We'll go to this one here. And this is actually, this might be where, yes, this is where General Lou Armistead falls. Armistead commanded a brigade in Pickett's division, or a regiment in Pickett's division. He is mortally wounded here. If you look over here, the artillery here, Battery A, 4th U.S. Artillery, launching immense fire into the Confederates. If you look over here, you can see the cannons along the wall there, how the wall comes up. Now remember, Confederates have also been under enfilade fire. This monument right here, this is the North Carolina troops. That is going to be your Confederate high water mark. So it took us about 19 minutes to get here, and we did it under no fire, just a little bit of heat. So that was Pickett's charge.